Hello everyone. So I'm here to do another weekly reads, and this week was quite interesting because the BookTube prize results were out. From my group, the three books that I put in the top three were the ones that went through, which I'm very happy about. Also because I think there was, at least for me, a very big difference in quality between the top three and the bottom three. But if you want to know more about my thoughts on that, I will link the video that I did discussing my rankings. But yeah, I'm very happy about that. For next round, I was assigned a non-fiction group, but I decided not to do it just because I didn't want to read one of the books. I thought it might be triggering for me, so I decided to pass on that, and I told Robert to put me on hold if anyone from any of the other groups had to bail out. But yeah, that gives me a lot of space to read other things, which I'm happy about. And then also the international booker results were out, and A Night All Blood is Black won. I also have a reaction video for that, so I will also link that. And I was kind of disappointed. I understand why it won, and so many people like it. I'm happy that all of these people enjoyed it, and they're happy now that it won. But yeah, for me it was not as impactful as for anybody else that seems to have read it. So I was a bit disappointed, but I think that's not the point of these prizes for me. For me is to discover new books that I wouldn't have picked up otherwise, and I have done that. I have read The Employees and loved it. I have read Minor Detail and loved it. So even if those books didn't win, at least I was able to discover them and read them and rave about them in the channel. So yeah, I'm happy about that. And in terms of what I've read this week, I finished Madagascar, which was my last read for Invisible Cities for May. And as I said in previous videos, I quite liked it. It was a short history, non-fiction history of the island, and I learned a lot about the island and this history, and I was also quite surprised of how readable it was, despite it being very academic and quite dense, but also readable, so that was great. And then I read other two books this week. The first one is Pet by Akwaeke Emezi, and this is a middle grade about a girl called Jam who is caught up into this fantasy adventure on her world. So she lives in Nigeria, and there used to be these monsters in her community, and then at some point they said they were eradicated, but then there are also these angels, and Pet is one of those angels that came down to help her eradicate monsters, and she was confused because monsters didn't exist in her world. So we see what happens, and I think it's a really powerful commentary on abuse. So if you are triggered by that, this book has commentary on abuse, but at a level that children can understand and can process. So it's not very graphically discussed. But yeah, I found this quite interesting and quite powerful. Of course, it's a lot more simple than their other books because this is a middle grade, not an adult book. But yeah, Akwaeke Emezi is a great writer, and I'm very happy I read this one. And the other one I finished is Native Son by Richard Wright. Finally, I read this, and I quite enjoyed it. I think that the social commentary on this is very powerful. It was written in the 1940s, so around the civil rights movement, I think, or a bit before, and I can see why this is a classic and how it fits within that fight. Especially the last 50 pages or so, they are very, very powerful. And this is about a man a black man that commits a crime because of the circumstances he was in. And he was just trying to survive and what happens to him based on what happened. I don't want to give too much away because that would be spoilers. I have to say though that the plot of this and the character development of this was just okay for me. I didn't find it particularly impressive, but the social commentary, which is I think the main point of the book, is the strongest part, and I appreciate the book for that. And I'm glad that I read it, and I see why it's a classic. So I'm glad I have read this one as well. And then the last one I have started, but for sure not finished yet, is Be As in Beirut by Iman Humaydan. This I don't really like this cover, especially when the library puts the thing in the only interesting part of the cover. But oh well. But yeah, this is about 4 women that live in Beirut in an apartment, and it's divided in 4 parts, and each one of them follows a different woman, but their stories are interconnected. So I have just read the first woman story, which was about this woman that had some differences with her husband because of an accident that happened, and now she's going to Australia to live with her brother. And yeah, I think it's quite interesting. I think the cultural aspect of this I'm really enjoying, and it's also quite fast paced, and the pages have huge margins, so it's going pretty quickly, and I'm quite enjoying this. I also like the writing style, so yes, this one so far is a win. And now for the things that I'm planning to read after I finish this. So I want to finish the other books for Invisible Cities for June as well. And the other 2 books that I have in stock for that are The Confessions of the Lioness by Mia Couto for Mozambique. I wanted to read something from a different author from Mozambique because Mia Couto has Portuguese descent, is the Portuguese descent, and I have read something from him before, but I couldn't find anything that was easily available to me, so I went with this one. I liked what I read from him before, so I hope he doesn't disappoint. And yeah, the other one that I'm going to read is How the One-Armed Sister Sweeps Her House by Cherie Jones, which is actually in the shortlist for the Women's Prize for Fiction, and when the longlist came out, it was one of the 2 or 3 that I was interested in reading, so it's very appropriate that this month is Barbados, and also because it's Caribathon. So yeah, I'm excited for those 2. And then apart from that, I also would like to be able to read A Pale View of Hills by Kazuo Ishiguro, because it's from the library and it's due back on Thursday. So if I can read this, that would be great as well. And yeah, those are the books that I'm planning to read next week, which we will see how it goes. It's looking like it's going to be a busy week, so we will see how I go with that. But those are my plans. Let me know what you have been reading this week, what you have been loving, and if you have read any of these books and you have thoughts about them, let's discuss them in the comments. And until the next video, bye!